Hello, welcome back to another set of samples. Today we are going to be working on, or you are going to be working on, a set of test samples so you can tell the difference of each of your stitches. You can tell what a baby thread looks like all the way down to a really long thread. You can tell a baby zigzag from a big zigzag, and so on. These are some samples that I did of my machine at home. I do this for every single machine I own because when I'm right in the middle of a project, I don't want to stop and have to figure out what kind of stitch I'm going to use. I can usually just go to these samples and it will tell me exactly what I need. So you guys are going to make a few of these. You're going to take 2 of the sample squares that you just cut not too long ago. And what you're going to want to do is just give them a little pin together. You don't want them to move on you while you're trying to work. Once you get the first stitch in, you can probably take your pins out, but you don't want them to move around on you. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move the camera down so you can see how I mark this. You guys are all going to need to use a ruler. These are located in the tubs that are at the end of the first table when you walk in the door. They're on the end of the table that's closest to me and my desk. Hopefully you guys can find those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some lines. And for the genome, I am going to make, let's see, I think I'm going to go with, we go up to a 5. So we're going to do, I'm going to write a note here so we can sample this out. We're going to do a length that is for a 5, a 4.5, a 4, a 3.5, a 3, a 2.5, a 2. Oh my gosh, that's a lot, huh? 1.5, 1, and a 0.2. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So I think we're only going to do 5 lines. So I'm going to draw 5 lines across just so I can know that I'm sewing straight. 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now I am using this fine line Sharpie pin. You guys can use these. You are going to check them out from the sub, and you have to trade something of yours personally to give to the sub in order to have the pen back. So I'm going to start at a 5.0. So I'm going to say my length is a 5.0, and then a 4.5, and then it will be a 4.0. And then we're going to go to a 3.5 and a 3. That's all we're going to get on this one. So what I'm going to do now, let me pull my machine closer. Is I'm going to move on my brother, I'm going to move my length of stitching to a 5. I'm going to leave this one alone. I'm not going to touch it. Okay? So I have it centered on my machine at a 5. So now I'm going to come over here. And you guys don't have to back tack. You do not have to back tack for this because it's just a sample. I'm going to go ahead and stitch right on the line. I've got a bright green so I can see it. And I'm going through both squares. And I'm using my little scissors. And this is what that looks like. I've got great big long stitches, and you can see them really well on this side. So now I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go down to a 4.5. Now I'm going to come over here to my next line. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch. You don't need to back tack. I'm going to take out my pin. I don't really need it anymore. Get to the end, use my fancy little scissors, and here's my 4.5. And then you're going to come back over, and you're just going to keep doing this over and over again. Here's my 4. And then I'm going to go down to a 3.5. And then I'm going to go down to a 3.0. And that is all of my sample for this one. I can go through now and I can cut off all of these little threads. I don't need them. And here are my samples. I can see exactly what each length looks like. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it again, but now I'm going to finish. I'm going to start at the top with a 2.5 and I'm going to go down to a 0.2. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Sharpie again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I'm going to go down to a 2.0 and I'm going to start here. Ooh, I forgot to label them, didn't I? Okay, let me label them real quick. So we've got a 2.5, 2.0, 1.5, 1.0, and a 0.2. That's the smallest it goes. We're skipping the 0.5 because I want to see what that tiniest stitch looks like. Go down to a 2. Go down to a 1.5. Now, when you go down to a 2 on this machine, the next one is 1.8. That's not what I want. I want, oh, it skips a 1.5. Ooh, okay, I guess I'm going to do 1.4. And I'm going to change that to a 1.4. Okay, so I'm going to do a 1.4. I'm going to go down to a 1. Yes, it does a 1. And then I'm going to go down to my 0.2. That's my tiniest stitch I can do. Oh my gosh, it's hardly moving at all. I don't think I've ever sewed anything with a 0.2. Almost there. And the end. Okay. Holy smokes, that's the tiniest stitch ever. Okay, so you can trim these if you want to. They don't really bother me. Oop. Okay, so now I've got everything labeled. These are all of the lengths of straight stitches that I have on my machine. When you look at the back, you can compare them. You can really see a difference between the biggest stitch and the babyest stitch. So now when you're sewing, you can make an educated guess on which stitch you're going to need. The next one that you're going to do is we are going to do the same thing, but now we're going to do the zigzag stitch, because this one is going to be a combination of stitches. So I'm going to come down, and for this one, I am actually going to use our ironing pencils, or pens. That means that when I draw the line, when I zigzag over it, I can go back through and iron it and get rid of this line. But I'm still going to use my Sharpie to write my labels. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do, I think those are pretty far spaced. Let's go ahead and do 5 on this one too. I think let's do 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Look, I got those kind of crooked. They're kind of crooked. It's okay. Okay, so on this Brother machine, I'm going to go to number 5. And this is what we're going to start at. The first one that we're going to do is called the width. And our width is 3.5 and our length is 1.4. This is automatic on our machine. So I'm going to mark that down. So that's a WIDTH is a 3.5, and our length, LENGTH, is a 1.4. And that's, again, this is automatic. I did not change anything. It automatically goes there. So now I'm going to go ahead and just do this stitching. And this is what they think the average zigzag is like. And this is what they're going to give you. But I want to mess around with this. Let's see what we can do with it. So let's leave it at a 1.4, but I want to go all the way up to a 5. So I'm going to label this as a width 5.0 and length 1.4. Okay. Well, I can see the difference in that. Let's mess around with it again. Let's leave it at the 1.4, but let's go down. How far does it go down? Oh, to 0. We don't want it at 0. That means it won't move. Let's go down to a 0.5. No. Let's go to a 1. Let's try a 1. So we're going to do a width 1.0 and a length 1.4. And let's see what the difference is in this. Well, that's quite a bit of a difference, isn't it? Okay, so now let's switch it around. Let's put our width back at a 3.5, but now let's go up as high as we can in our length to a 5. So we're going to go a width of 3.5 and a length of 5.0. And let's see what that does. So our width, our back and forth, our zigzagginess is going to be just as wide as this one is. But our length, our distance, is going to be a lot different. Well, yeah, that's quite a bit of difference. Okay, so now I'm going to leave my width fine, but now I'm going to go down real small. Let's go to, should we do a 1.0? Let's go down a little bit. I think let's go to a 0.5. So we're going to do width of 3.5 and a length of a 0.5. Okay. Okay. Well, these are all the same stitch, but because I've adjusted the length or the width on each one of them, they've turned out to be very, very different. So what I'm going to do is in the lesson, go back to Google Classroom. I'm going to give you a list of which ones you're going to do. All right? You're going to do these ones in this sample, but I'm also going to give you a list of which additional ones to do. You're always going to put 5 lines down. And when you iron this, if you have used our heat erase pens, all of these lines will come off, but our Sharpie lines should stay on there just fine for you. And then at the end of the period, to get your stuff back, you have to turn these back into the teacher. All right? Okay. Here's all of these samples. You guys make sure you look at the Google Classroom for your list. Happy sewing.